Here we go!
Happy New Year, everyone, and what better way to kick off a plentiful and substantial year of content than talking about the double release of BFDIA 17 and TPOT 15. This was definitely a surprise for me. Didn't expect an episode to come out this soon, let alone 2 episodes with intertwining plots. We're gonna start off by talking about BFDIA Start the Shift and then transition into talking about TPOT 15. BFDI 17 is the less hype half of the spiritual two-parters, but that doesn't make it any less important. It sticks its feet into the water that is the Yoyolite time-shifting plot that causes extreme implications during TPOT. Most of the scenes involving Tennis Ball and Nickel's time traveling are nothing more than cute callbacks. It's just a neat way to show different parts of past episodes. However, they also use this opportunity to go back to certain episodes and provide context to certain scenes, like Donut's conversation with Bottle back in BFB 1. For me, this doesn't add much since it really didn't matter what Donut and Bottle were talking about, but it helps the audience get acquainted with the properties of Yoyolite, acting as a light setup and introduction to later events. The challenge this time in particular isn't anything too special. It's just to make the cast go back to their original forms, which I'm fine with. It was kind of funny how many contestants received physical changes throughout the season. They take this time to also insert some cameos from other content creators, like Homestar Runner, Kevin McLeod, and Tomska. I think having these additions were overall very cute, and a nice surprise for BFDI fans. In terms of how funny the episode was, I'd say most of the jokes weren't very memorable. I've always found the jokes from BFDIA 6 onward to range from not funny to slightly humorous. So this is kinda par for the course. Although I did chuckle when Ruby crashed down the elevator. Now I do have some gripes for this episode too. It just feels like nothing really happens. Beside Nickel and Tennis Ball's time traveling adventure, the other characters seem to get so little done. Matter of fact, let's go through them. Pin, along with Coiny, stumble upon and traverse through a Yoyolite mine, thinking that the Yoyolite could regenerate her limbs back. They get chased by evil Leafy, Golf Ball tells them Yoyolite does no such thing, and they end up just tricking the scanner system anyways. Book goes on a quest to get a makeover by trading items with multiple shopkeepers, but loses in the end since her cover is put on backwards. Needle and Fries track evil Leafy down, with the understanding that her possession will give Fries a red hue, which doesn't even make sense since Fries isn't even entirely red. I'm fine with these actions being nonsensical or mundane every now and then, but there's a point where it makes me feel detached from what's happening. Like, it turns each challenge into a game of chance whether a contestant is even physically capable of completing it. If all of Book's efforts could be undone at the last moment with, oh, their cover is on backwards, what was the point of their screen time usage in the first place? I mean, the end result could lead to funny moments, but a lot of the time, it feels unsatisfying. Although to note something more positive, I absolutely adore the stinger at the end. I love seeing Golf Ball and Tennis Ball working like scientists to contain, protect, and study the Yoyolite's attributes. It really puts into perspective how much care they put into their scientific endeavors, especially since most episodes, they just show up with their inventions, but here, we get a brief look at an example of their process. Thought I'd just put that out there. Ultimately, this isn't my favorite of the post-hiatus BFDIA episodes, but it serves its purpose in setting up the plot for things to come. Speaking of which, it's time we talk about TPOT 15. Now for the big one. When they first announced that a BFDIA and TPOT episode would drop on the same day, I knew exactly which one I was looking forward to watching the most. When I made my BFDI voting video, I said that I stopped watching TPOT after episode 6 since I couldn't stand how homogenized everything felt. Thank God you guys told me to persevere through the rest of the episodes because I was able to find plenty of hidden gems that I otherwise would have missed. And fortunately, now I can witness what many would call peak cinema. Seasonal Shift starts off really strong, with the failed debuters escaping through a hole in the ground that leads them to the Yoyolite in Golf Ball's factory. I'm glad Plan Dissolve Adhesive was as good as it was because it makes all their interactions feel all the more charming now that I'm endeared to these characters. You can honestly sympathize with their desire to change their fate and become relevant. Imagine being chosen among all the recommended characters to be a possible contestant on BFDI, only to be so close, yet so far, as well as punished by being locked inside a hotel. And at best, all the viewers know you by is through small jokes or one-liners. Yeah, I would be pretty pissed too. Anyways, their meddling causes them to be transported throughout different points in BFDI's history, altering the present in catastrophic ways, and the only person unaffected is Black Hole. Not only do they justify the reason why he's the only one unaffected by the distorting of time, but with how weird things get, it makes sense Black Hole is the beginning catalyst for all of this. Already, Black Hole, out of all the cast, feels the most human to me. Satomi's delivery for him always sounds so calm and so natural in contrast to all the cartoony contestants. Thus, it makes Black Hole the perfect character to build tension for the fact that something has gone wrong. You can hear the realistic pain in his voice, making it all the more disheartening when no one believes him. Honestly, living in a world where you remember everything but nobody else does must be horrifying, as Black Hole has already experienced equivalent nightmares of everyone dying from his own doing. However, once Golf Ball and Tennis Ball realize what's going on, they retrieve the Yoilite and present the problem to the rest of the contestants. One then secretly gives them their memories back, which allows them to regroup and begin the challenge to traverse through time and gather up the failed debuters. Okay, from this point onward in the review, I'm gonna talk about different aspects sporadically because the story gets a little jumbled from this point forward. So let's talk about some standout characters first. One of the most noteworthy characters during all of this, in my opinion, is Golf Ball. I love how she's played totally in the right in this episode, as opposed to how we're always viewing her negatively from the perspective of someone like Pencil. You can see her trying her best to fix everything the best she can, but every fix her team makes is undermined by the amount of damage they do each time. And you can tell, she is at her limit. You can hear the pain and frustration in her voice when she says the "we've done too much damage" line. This makes Donut's words in category 1 mean so much more, as it really is true that Golf Ball has great intentions and plans, but she fails in her ability to communicate and collaborate with her team effectively. And of course, we can't forget Pencil. From my Free Smart video, I absolutely knew Pencil would have that really powerful outburst there. She literally states how she lost everything after being in the exit for 6 years, from her friends to her status. She's so far at her lowest that she's willing to risk the world collapsing than to be eliminated again. And out of all people to tell this to, she tells this to Golf Ball, the one person who she thought was too much of a bossy bot to even talk to. Michael's delivery on Pencil's rage that then turns into sorrow is actually awesome. Despite Pencil being entirely in the wrong here, the audience is able to sympathize with her. Yeah, it makes sense why she would feel this way. Her whole world crumbled, so she might as well let the real world crumble as well. But at the same time, she kinda had it coming. Fanny was also a notable character in this episode. I love how much initiative she takes, especially during times of crisis, which is something you wouldn't really expect. Once the contestants realize Cloudier is causing trouble, Fanny is the first one to take charge to stop them. When her team's goal was to bring 2 back to Earth, she was the one who found a way to get her team to 2. And Black Hole, I talked about already. You can tell his voice gets raspier and more aggravated as time goes on, which I attribute to Satomi's great performance. Now let's talk about some minor characters I thought were still worth mentioning. I absolutely love Angry Tennis Ball. You can tell how hard he's trying to fix everything and keep his team in check. Same can be said with Pen. It's so interesting to see how many characters become locked in and focused when their world is at stake. And holy crap, I forgot about Fiery. Not only is the animation stunning here, but Fiery's character has never been better. I've always hated post-split BFB for making him mostly one-note and goofy. But here, he talks to 8-Ball so naturally, like they've been old friends for ages. When we get characters that are more than just flanderized caricatures, we actually begin to care about them and relate to them without even knowing it. More of this, please. And this scene. You already know I love this scene. The cinematography, camera angles, and colors go so hard. Even without dialogue, the character animations say everything. Snowball smiling warmly at Grassy's scared embrace before getting ready to face whatever may harm him. Ice Cube seeking comfort with book and price tag. Tree, including Pin in his collective embrace, as Fanny has a brief smile when Pin is bunched beside her. The music, playing a slowed, low-pitched version of 4's hand intro theme, as cracking sounds intensified, gave me huge chills. Everything about the scene is just so right, and makes me grateful that I came back to give TPOT a second chance. I think this episode does a fantastic job as a celebration of all things BFDI. From BFDI to TPOT to even the BFDI is back announcement, they reference so many BFDI elements that the fans will definitely adore, whether it's through animation styles or just going back to a previous episode in general. And did I mention how funny this episode is? For the first time in a long while, TPOT has actually managed to make me laugh. I love the running joke of how at almost any point in time, the BFDI contestants were ready to shout kill while carrying the traitor to their death. Especially when Penn was called out for his murder's past. That was great. And I also love how the BFDIA 1 Leafy chase scene would start up over and over again with the music repeating. While the time travel plot can be a bit confusing with how crazy and chaotic things get, this truly is a love letter to the fans, no matter when you started watching the show. Things like this episode, Wonderphobe's Nightmare, Outbreak at Stake, and Category 1 made me realize what BFDI can truly be like when all aspects of the show are pushed to its max potential. And I hope this quality continues for episodes and seasons to come. BFDI is back, and in all honesty, it never truly left. Hey guys, it's me, John Jaws, and I hope your guys' 2025 is going good so far. This is my first time delving into specific episode reviews that were uploaded more recently, so if you enjoy this kind of content, let me know and I might do more stuff like this in the future. If there's other kinds of videos on this channel you would like to see more of, also tell me in the comments below. Anyways, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Well, that's all I have for today, so I'll see you guys next adventure!